Hello everyone. Hello Priya. Hello Kashish. Glad to have you.
Hi, Ugantar.
Hi.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Very well. Thank you.
We'll just wait 1 or 2 minutes.
Definitely.
Hi, Yogantar. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening. Glad to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm just reminding everyone to join because Saturday evening, na, so
Yeah.
okay. So I think we can start. And as people join, they'll be able to ask more questions and all that. So today we are going to cover the different departments that are there at Accenture and what is the general overall company like, because it's a huge organization and there are so many different wings or different kinds of uh, jobs that are there in this particular company. And unfortunately, Ashi couldn't join. So we'll have Priya, who is from the management consulting section or division, whatever they call it. And we have Kashish, who is from technology consulting. So both of them will be guiding you on what is the work like, what is the entire process, what are the kind of criteria that they have. So thanks, Priya. Thanks, Kashish, for joining. Really glad to have you here. So now over to you, Priya, first on your, let's say after you. So just to tell you all, Priya is a rank holder. And we would like to know from you, like, what was your journey like after you, got your CA final result. So let's start from there.
I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are.
So after the results got declared, obviously, if it is a rank, then it was a huge celebration, and I was very happy. But like after that very moment, a lot of messages coming up. Recruiters are reaching, and uh, we were getting messages from different WhatsApp groups that okay, this firm is hiring, send your resume here, send your resume there. So the results, quite, I think 10 to 15 days, all were very hectic. Like obviously I had my office as well, so going to office, and then in the evenings you have to manage to send your resume, make changes in the resume, all were things. So yeah, this I think all of the other participants must be having the same feeling right now, that a lot of things are going on. Interview sessions like this, a lot of people were organizing, so we were attending those. We were watching YouTube videos, learn and grip back on the concept so that I can be better on my interviews. So things were like that were happening. Coming back to my journey at Accenture, or my interviews at Accenture. So my role is basically management consulting analyst at Accenture. And a lot of people do ask me this question a lot of times. So I'll clear this here, that Accenture hires freshers through mostly CA campus. So even if you are a ranker or not, you have the possibility that you will be getting selected. Myself, I saw 2 3 of my colleagues in my own department are not rankers, but they are still in the same domain and same work. Okay. Now comes the process for the Accenture. So it is like from campus I got. Accenture do hire off campus for some of the roles, but I'm not sure for the management consulting analyst. Okay. So it was like, obviously we have, when I submitted my details on the CA campus, after that I got shortlisting from Accenture. Then there are option that we can select the number of companies. So yeah, there I have selected Accenture. And then coming to interview, there were 2 rounds of interview for me. So I can basically separate the 2 rounds with. One was basically the kind of HR and a mix of that. First the questions came on my, the strength, your weakness. So first of all, even if you're appearing for any interview at any company, make sure you write an answer for what is your strength, what is your weakness, and obviously tell me about yourself. This is very common, so please make sure you have a clear answer on that, because sometimes we may fumble on the interview, that oh shit, what I should say. I should first mention my articleship from this firm or that firm, or should I first mention about industrial training, should I first mention about this course I have been taking. So make sure you have a structure of that. That is about this. And so coming back to interview again, my interview was mostly based on the HR questions. First round, HR questions, strength, weakness. Then there were few situational questions. So I think most of you do understand what kind of situation questions are. But just to mention here for people who don't know that, situational question is they'll just give you a situation that assume that you are working in a team and you made a mistake. Now that mistake is actually very heavy, like you have just deleted some data. So what will you do now? How will you take an action on that? So based on that, they are trying to understand your personality, that are you like कि एकदम डर गए और किसी को नहीं बताया, and this is a major data deletion thing, so you have to report someone. और आई लाइक कि बोल दिया मैंने सीनियर को कि देख लो आप, मेरे से तो हो गया डेटा डिलीट. हाउ विल यू रिस्पॉन्ड? दैट इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड वो वहां से आपका इंटीग्रिटी, ऑनेस्टी, ये सब चेक करता है. तो दैट्स मोस्टली to check your personality there. So situational kind of questions can come. And in the first round itself, I have got questions on my articleship, not on my articleship experience per se in the work, but questions like, were there any kind of task in your articleship for which your senior praised you? Or were there any task in your articleship where you had been a team lead? So kind of questions like that. So basically, intention maybe behind those questions is to identify whether you have done a dummy articleship or not, or whether you were active in your articleship or not. So like that. And so mostly first round was this HR questions, situational questions, and articleship questions. Then comes the second round. So in the second round, I got the questions on the case based. So if I talk about cases, a lot of YouTube videos you can find on YouTube about IIM, A case books and all these things. But what I felt is I also have prepared some of the cases from those books. But I honestly felt that the cases which were asked in Accenture interview were not similar to those cases. They are little moderate and little not on the strategic thinking, but on the process thinking and operational thinking. So for example, the case which were asked to me was that let's say you have to increase your profit by this amount. So what figures, or sorry, what items in your PNL, in your balance sheet and PNL would be affected by that? So these kind of questions are not like mostly the case questions are like that you need to set up a branch in this area, so how will you identify and all of things. So that was not there, but these kind of operational and process based questions were there. So second round was two cases, and that's it. My second round was very short, like almost 10 to 15 minutes. But other people do get some questions on their articleship work experience. So it depends. If you have something very good in your articleship, so for me, I had only tax audits or GST returns, so I don't think so there are many major items to ask on the articleship. So I did get some questions on my industrial training work experience, but nothing on my articleship as per se. But other folks who were interviewed for articleship have got questions on their articleship exposure. Like, for example, one of my friend had done some M&A work. So she got some questions on that M&A part of that. Basically depends on the interviewer as well, if he understands that part or not. If he knows something about that part, he will definitely ask, but if he don't, then they might not. So this was all around which I was thinking that I should tell people who are willing or who will be appearing for Accenture interview. Other than that, if you guys have any question, you can ask me, and I'll be happy to answer that. And
Sure,
over
sure.
to you, Yugantar. Yeah.
Right, right. So in fact, one of the parts which you mentioned, the tell me something about yourself question. So I always tell them that if you knew the if you got the question paper beforehand for an exam, would you not prepare for at least those questions? And still many people don't prepare for it. So, but
Yes.
before coming to Kashish's experience, like either of you can take this. Like this is a huge organization, and at the same time, everyone has heard of Big Four, but the name Accenture, if unless someone has worked somewhere or someone has an idea about it, they don't know that Accenture is one of the biggest consulting firms, and probably in terms of revenue it is bigger than these other firms also.
Hmm.
So something on the structure, or what does this Accenture as a company do?
Okay, so as per my understanding till today, is it's into technology mostly, and I've been working on the operational consulting mostly, like on one of my projects. So what I believe, it's helped the client to bridge the gap between their processes and technology. So let's say if they are facing some difficulties in their accounting, because there are big clients. I mean, one company which can have 150 subsidiaries, and the consolidation of those 150 subsidiaries would be a huge task and very difficult to manage. So on that front, Accenture comes into place. They bridge the gap between their process gaps and technology. So they enable those parts. Accenture do have some strategy consulting as well. I'm not sure on that part because I have not worked there, but they do have. So as a structure, mostly on the client's part or mostly on their business part, it's a technology and strategy driven company. So it depends on which department you get your work. So if you get on the technology front, you will be basically bridging that gap from clients' processes and technology. You'll be basically identifying which technology would be better for the client, and then applying all these things into that technology so that the client can use that technology. So that is there. And structure wise, I think if you are talking about or asking about the hierarchy, um, there is like in the consulting strategy and consulting area of Accenture, if we talk about hierarchy, then we have a strategy lead, and then we have under that we have different we can say executives for different departments under strategy lead, and then we have managers and senior managers under that one department, and then we have consultant, and then we have analyst. So like that we have. I hope I answered your question.
Sure, sure. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, Kashish, coming to you, you have experience of a lot of interviews, not just Accenture. So now coming to your journey after clearing CA, how was it, and what all did you. So you can just explain from your side, right?
Yes, thank you, Yugantar. So, hi everybody. I cleared my CA finals back in May 2022, and post that I actually sat for a lot of interviews. So I can say I have a lot of experience about interviews. First thing, what I would like to focus on is the resume building. That is the core. If you have, in my opinion, as a fresher, a resume of more than one page, it gives a negative view about yourself, that whether maybe you cannot concise your resume in one page, because that until that time you have at most your articleship or your industrial training experience and nothing other than that. So I would suggest just keep your resume one pager, and there are a lot of ATS friendly resumes available. If possible, try to build your resume into an ATS friendly template, because there are a lot of companies who actually select the resumes basis these softwares, and they do not really go through the manual screening of these resumes. That is one thing. The second thing I would say, when it comes to your interview, there are few things which you really need to note. Like, you cannot just go unprepared in an interview. You need to be really well versed with your technicals, what all you did in your articleship. Coming to articleship, you actually need to structure down your thoughts. You need to write it down what all you did, and pick up from there exactly what you did and how you did, because the questions can be anything. Like Priya mentioned, it'll be mostly about how did you create an impact during your articleship period, or were you a team lead or not, and if you worked on a particular client without naming the particular client due to confidentiality reasons, you can just tell us how did you create an impact on that role, and did you actually bring up something to the organization which was helpful for them. Did you do something which you actually which was revenue generation, either for the client or the organization you were working for. Do highlight all of these things when you're giving an interview. Just don't fumble around by saying ki I did this, I did that. You need to be very structured and very organized. Where we actually have to say everything, starting from your school days to your journey up till now. So keep a short tell me about yourself in 1 or 2 minutes, where you speak a little about your school journey, your graduation. Start with that, but focus on your articleship and industrial training experience, because that will be left, and that thing would actually give an opportunity to the interview to ask further questions on that. That is one thing. And if I come to Accenture specifically, so I am working with technology consulting department with Accenture. So technology consulting is basically, it's actually a little different from classic consulting, which we commonly call as management consulting or traditional consulting. Over there, the consultants, like we as consultants, we help the businesses and the organizations to improve their performances, operations, and their efficiencies. We give them expert advice, recommendations, and solutions to the strategies and operational challenges. You need to have a problem solving attitude, and you need to have strategic planning and analysis, how you can do process improvement, change management, organizational development. All of these things come into play. mostly into classic consulting, which is also known as management consulting. Technology consulting is a bit different from management consulting, because here you offer services in the field of technology to help those businesses and organizations to help them make their informed decisions about what are the technology infrastructures available, the processes, the strategies. Basically, it helps the client in maximizing the value of technology within their organization and improving efficiency basis the technology around us. So it's a very niche and a promising profile, I would say, both in terms of your exposure and compensation. It's a direct client facing role. After few months into this role, you will be directly communicating with the client. You will be actually leading a lot of meetings. You will be single-handedly for doing a lot of things for the client. So technology consulting breaks down into various domains, as in SAP consulting, Oracle, and all of other things. So you need to choose your specialization. Once you get into this technology consulting, you need to upskill yourself. You need to take up a lot of courses. You need to continue to learn, because this involves a lot of IT strategy and planning, the digital transformation. How can you do the technological assessment? It also involves, a lot of project management tools. You need to learn how to use those project management tools. And plus, it basically works as it works for the client. It helps the client to stay competitive in this digital era, because I think this going forward, we all need to actually build our businesses according to the needs of the current market. And the next thing you might have a question is, we from a finance background, what can be our contribution in a technology consulting role? So let me tell you, it's quite diverse and valuable, because we have a financial and accounting expertise which complements the technical knowledge of the engineers or somebody from a non-finance background. We can actually help them in the financial analysis to assess the feasibility of the feasibility and the cost benefit analysis of those technology projects for the client. We assist the clients in their budgeting and cost management as well, because technology projects, they often involve a lot and significant amount of investment. So we assist them in their budgeting, monitoring their project expenses. We also consider the risk assessment and how can we mitigate those risks which are associated with the technology initiatives. We can also look into the compliance and the regulatory guidance, which the client might have to keep in touch with while continuing those projects. The financial modeling part also comes to the picture, because we need to consider the potential financial impact of the technological related decisions. Then the next, I think, would be internal controls and governance. Even that is a domain which comes under technology consulting, because that's where you can help govern the mechanisms relating to technology projects. I would also say, yeah, sometimes tax planning and compliances also do come into role, because you can also advise clients on their tax implications related to technology investments. So as a chartered accountant, your role will be to bridge the gap between the between those technology driven guys and the finance part of it. You need to actually incorporate finance into technology. It revolves around blending financial acumen with technical expertise, so as to just ensure that technology projects are financially sound and they are compliant and they are aligned with the tax and regulatory requirements of the organization as well. So I would say this is pretty much a brief about what technology consulting is and how to get there. I would say is Accenture mostly hires on campus through CA campus placements. Off-campus placements for consulting roles, be it technology consulting or management consulting, is not something I am aware of. If at all off-campus hiring happens, that's for FP&A roles for sure. But then for consulting roles, it's mostly through CA campuses. I got into Accenture through campus placements, wherein I believe 3 rounds of interview. All the 3 rounds were based on technicals only, mostly. And they did ask me, they wanted to check how well versed I am with the technology around me, what are the changes happening. And even within the technology consulting, as a finance personnel, you'll have to choose your specialization, whether you want to work under the taxation domain, you want to bridge the gap there, or you want to work with the controlling and the finance team, or per se you want to go through the indirect taxes, or joint venture accounting or general accounting. You need to choose your specialization, and you need to, during the interviews, you need to be well versed with all of these things, because the interview can ask you anything. If the interviewer is not from a finance background, he might not dig up into your articleship and your industrial training experience, but then he'll dig up more into the role which you've been interviewed for. But if the person himself or herself is from the finance background, then he or she might as well, dig up a lot into your articleship and industrial training experiences. Do mention about whatever certifications you hold, the skills other than the degrees you are holding. Do highlight those things as well, because I think that plays an important role in your overall recruitment process.
Okay.
So yes.
So many of you were asking about R2R, and so I'll just tell you that both of them, they are, there are two kinds of roles. So first, I mean, that was really a wonderful explanation of the entire technology consulting field, even though many of them might not have understood some of the terms and technologies which were used, but you'll understand. So this is how people talk in corporate, so you'll get a good exposure on how you can actually talk. Generally, there are two roles even in this time's campus. There is Accenture India, and then there's Accenture Solutions. So the Accenture India roles are generally the more preferred ones, and both of them are from that. And the other roles, like you mentioned, so those are they are also there. There's a the issue generally with the other R2R roles is the timing, which is there, right? So I'll just okay. So now we got to understand in detail what your work is, Kashish. And now coming back to you, Priya, what is the kind of work? So generally, because management consulting is something which has some sort of a aura towards it. People have have a lot of things which you think about it, okay, it's fancy maybe. So as a person who has been working in this field, how far is that, is that what should I call it? Is that hype real? And what part would you feel is, it's in a way, not that, so, from that angle?
Sure. So first of all, let me separate these two consulting hype. So first is the consulting at BCG Bain. Those are very rigorous and kind of very. I'm not sure how it is because I have not been there, but it is always hyped like it's very hectic and a busy kind of thing. Consulting at Accenture, if you are at a lower level, since I have just started, I'm at my at the lowest level of the consulting, like the first level from where we can then jump to consultant and the managers and execs. So from there, it depends on basically most of the time it depends on the project. But what I noticed, it's not that much hectic or that much busy kind of consultants which are generally is there in the market. But yes, as a consultant, what kind of roles or what kind of duties you have, just to give you an overview. So you have to connect with your clients, mostly the higher management a lot of times. So you have to be, since more, in my role I'm not really went in person and meet my clients. It was mostly on the Teams call. But still a lot of things, you started being nervous because the higher management is there. You cannot just say anything without thinking before. So you will get into you will get the chance to interact with the higher management from the client. You have to present your solutions to the higher management. You have to present your timelines to the higher management. So when the counter questions came, so you have to handle that in a way that you are a representative of the Accenture, and you cannot just be like very normal about that. You have to take a responsibility even if you are an analyst, because the work are very like distributed. If you are handling one part of that solution, You are the whole and soul of that solution. You are the person who will make the presentation. You are the person who will decide on the timeline, suggesting solution, proposing different options. All of these you have to handle, so you have to know the answer. So in that way, it's really client facing. And basically the higher management, you have to talk to higher management in that way. And other than that, mm, at a little senior level, when get into managers or senior manager, then definitely you get a lot of chances to contact or to meet the clients in person, to have regular meetings with them, because uh, those are really what I should say, polished people who can meet and greet clients very well from a perspective of an organization. So yeah, all this about consulting. Any other question? I'm not sure if I have correctly answered your question, or
Oh,
was that?
definitely.
Yeah.
That was quite useful in understanding the kind of work that is being done. No, so now, one question which people generally have, and even though it doesn't require much effort for them to find out, but what is the general, starting position? What all kind of benefits do you get, and what is the growth trajectory? So let's say you start at the level which you are at, say now. So after 2 years, what will you become? After 5 years, what will you become? Something on those lines.
Yeah, so as I just already mentioned about it, a bit of it. So first level is obviously analyst. Generally, if you are performing very, what I would say, this, your performance is very exceptional and very good, you can be promoted to consultant within a year. But generally, it takes 2 years for a normal and average performance. It takes 2 years to be a consultant mostly. And then after being a consultant for an year or two, I think after 2 years, it if you are working, like if you had any exceptional performances, you can be promoted anytime. That depends on the management. But generally, like, it's not like there you 6 months where you will be consultant, but mostly in 1 year, people, I saw few, like one or two people who have been consultant just 1 year due to their exceptional performances. So yeah, generally after 2 years you will be a consultant. And then after 2 to 3, or I think sometimes 4, it depends. Sometimes 4, you will be getting to a manager level. So at manager levels, things are different. You have to handle different kinds of things. So on that basis, what my understanding is, once you become manager, you after maybe 1 or 2 years, you can be a senior manager. But then the growth is like, you have to be a senior manager for certain years. And the kind of performances, the kind of responsibility are you able to handle. So based on that, then the higher exec levels are there. So mostly on this level.
And so Kashish, is it similar with you? How is the structure in your team?
Pretty much similar. Like the journey from analyst to consultant is the same, 2 years per se, except for exceptional performances. But I would say manager level is mostly 3 years approximately. And then we have senior managers, and directly after that, you get into Accenture leadership.
Okay, and what are these people called? So in Big Four, let's say you have partner, which is the highest designation.
That's Accenture leadership.
That's what they're called?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what would that person be
I mean,
called?
they have certain different, like this person will be the MD, this person will be the department head, like we have CFO and ED head. But as in designation which shows in our kind of teams, there shows only Accenture leadership, all the leadership people. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I will just take a few quick audience questions. Okay, so someone was asking on statutory audit. Actually, if you know the story behind Arthur Anderson was the predecessor for Accenture, and it did not do that audit properly. That is why we ended up with Accenture. But anyway, so Accenture is not an audit firm, so there's no stat audit. I think, right? Or is there some kind of audit wing also right now?
I don't think so. They provide like statutory audit services. No.
Okay. So now both of you would have probably attended other interviews and would have got other offers. So how did you decide that this is what you wanted to, this is where you wanted to be?
So for me, like it's very personal for me because I just wanted work from home. So Accenture was providing that. I had an opportunity where I have to be on the office and maybe sometimes on the plant location. So even though sometimes you get higher, but you have to select something uh, based on some of your personal things, and also that's why I had the offer from industry as well, but I choose Accenture because from a culture wise it's very good. I totally believe that because I have worked in industrial training in ABG group and a lot of like not big four firms, but I worked in mid-sized firms and I have my friends in industry. So culture wise I feel Accenture is very good. You can reach out to even the senior managers without any hesitation for any questions, and so that's why my inclination to Accenture was more. But yeah, it depends on what aspects do you feel. If you don't feel good on working from home, just don't choose work from office. But still now I think they are calling work from office only. But for consulting it's always be hybrid mode and not always like all days work from office. So it's really up to us. But yeah, for if you have a lot of offers in your hand and you have certain CTC standards you have decided for yourself, then you can decide on that note. So few of the pointers you can think about is first of the obviously the role. The main important thing is role. What role are you getting? Then you can judge on the basis of CTC. Then you can judge on the basis of location and what are the growth prospects in that company. Like that, I feel.
Kashish, from your side?
Okay, from my side, it was a little very upfront decision I took it because I knew I wanted to work for the consulting department. So for me, it was a pretty easy choice that it'll be somewhere into consulting, and plus it's more of I wanted to work in a client facing role. I cannot be someone who's just working back in. I needed some client exposure. I am getting that. So this is what worked for me. And coming to, so you need to decide according to your skills and what do you actually excel at. If you are somebody who's good at the back end role, then you should choose something which actually complements your skills. If you think you're better at interpersonal and communication skills and soft skills, you can talk well with the clients, and you should go for a front end role, and you have supporting skills for that. Definitely go for it. Then coming to your compensation structure, definitely it should actually be with what you expect or the industry standards for the matter of fact. So yes, this is a very subjective question, I would say, and it differs from people to people about what they actually want to do, or what is their aspirations or futures, or where do they want to make a career in which domain basically.
Okay.
So yes.
And now there's a very common doubt which people have not only for this role but for all kinds of roles, which is that how much do attempts and ranks matter? And Priya covered it in some slightly at the beginning, but let's say someone says that they have 3 attempts or 4 attempts. So how would that impact the chances, and what would be the chance of a rank holder versus a non-rank holder?
So I think for management consulting analysts, they will probably consider rank holders and the first attempt people. But for the other roles, like the in the FP&A department, in the other side, they do hire, like off campus also, they do hire multiple attempts candidates. So, but I think on the management consulting front, I have not came across any kind of this case that where a multiple attempt person was there. So maybe there, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay. And Kashish, from your experience?
Either rankers or first attempts, along with a mandatory industrial training, I would say. So they do consider industrial training and articleship from Big Four. It is preferable, to be very honest. people having an articleship from Big Four and industrial training, along with first attempts and rank holders, are mostly preferred over other candidates, I would say. But having said that, if you are way too good in your technicals and your communication interpersonal skills, you might just get a chance to get into consulting, because consulting overall is considered a very niche profile, and it requires you to have a lot of communication with the clients, and in fact along with the internal team as well. Because you, when you'll be hired into consulting, we are actually all at the junior most level, which is being an analyst. So every time you need to consult is, or you need to talk with, you need to communicate with, is mostly with the senior managers and the leadership. It's not even with the consultants most of the time. For me personally, the project I'm working on, there is no analyst except for me. It's only senior managers and above. So you will actually feel that burnt if you cannot put your thoughts into words very clearly. So people will, with some advantages, will get an edge over other people.
Okay. We have a question from Rimija on what all technology related questions can we expect. I think this is for you, Kashish. Yeah.
Okay, so the technology related questions they will ask is basically centric to the softwares like SAP and Oracle. You need to have a little bit of understanding of how can you work on SAP and Oracle. For the matter of fact, do in and out study about how does SAP, how can SAP enhance a client's infrastructure, and even Oracle, for the matter of fact. How can basically these technologies help you in running your business more efficiently? So for instance, how can you incorporate a GST system? How can you club the GST system with your SAP system? You can expect a question like that. You can even expect how do you manage your payments or your receivables with SAP system. You can be asked questions on FSCM management as well. I know these terms are a little heavy, but then if you can do a little bit of research on them, I'm sure you'll get through it.
Okay. And I think someone was asking, is there a strategy consulting wing? Is Priya your role similar to strategy consulting, or what is it called?
So my department is part of the CFOEV, that is like under strategy, but my role specifically, or my project or department is not specifically on strategy consulting. We have similar other departments, but I'm not working there. So it's a part of that, but right now the department in which I is not a pure strategy consulting. It's an operational or process consulting, you might say.
Okay. Okay. Now there's a question. This question you'll get the answer when you look at the company name in the portal. But they want to ask how much do they offer for the starting role?
CTC for the management consulting will get the figure on the campus. I think that there clearly, no hidden. Yeah, and
Right.
I think it might change after a year, but yeah, mostly for analysts, if I'm if I can disclose, it's around 19 to 20 per annum. Yeah, but it's very much obvious in the campus rounds. You will be able to
It's
see
kind
that.
of public information, so it's fine. I think you can reveal
Yeah.
it that case. But there are some companies which reveal it in the campus portal because it's mandatory, but then it's confidential. So in that case, obviously you can't say it, even though it's very obvious what it is. So Kashish, from your side, if it's fine, then you can say it. Otherwise, you can skip this question too.
It's the same thing for both the consultings. The CTC offered is completely the same.
Okay. And for the R2R and FP&A roles, it's lower, and obviously the criteria also is lower for them.
Yes, it's pretty much, it's a lot of difference. But then again, you'll get the numbers on the portal. If at all Accenture is hiring for those roles through CA Campus placements. Yeah.
Okay. So let me see what all other questions we have. What all questions are asked in FP&A role? I don't think they will be able to, do justice to this question. We'll probably have another one on FP&A. Okay. So now let us talk about one question which people have on what will be the exit opportunities. And this is, people seem to have this question even before entering, and I tell them that first you enter, then you think about the exit, but still this question is there. So if you would like to shed some light on this part.
Okay, so coming to the exit opportunities, depending on what qualifications you hold, if you have multiple add-on degrees as well, I think PE is one of the exit opportunities from consulting you get, and a lot of people opt for that opportunity. Getting into private equities is one of the niche profiles you can go after consulting. Otherwise, if you want to go from consulting, you can go anywhere. You can come back to the big fours, you can go to the taxation, audit, accounting, you can come to the FP&A roles. The exit options are huge. You can choose any profile you want to, because you have already have this client exposures, and you have worked, you are already a finance person who possesses all those technical skills. So I think you have all the venues pretty much open for you to venture into.
Okay. And in fact, someone was asking on whether you can get into Big Four. See, generally you will not want to get into Big Four because the salaries that are there. So if this question is probably for the R2R roles, definitely you can, get into Big Fours. And but I mean, that is the thing here. Priya, from your side on the exit opportunities, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think similar what Kashish said. It's just that if you are right now, if you are working in consulting, you'll probably try to be on the consulting side and not jump into taxation or accounting, because you might lose that grip on that as well, and your experience is more on the consulting front. So even I seen people working, shifting from Accenture to BCG Bain as well. So I think a lot of opportunities will be there after Accenture.
And to add on to what Yugandhar and Priya said, it's not just the CTCs you would see when you move from an MNC to Big Four. There is a huge difference in the work culture as well, and how people work and how the work is managed. You will find a vast difference among the MNCs and the Big Four CA firms. So definitely, if you want, you can switch, but then probably when people once enters MNC, they do not want to switch back to the firms owing to the work culture and the compensations and many other aspects as well.
Right. So now regarding, one very sensitive topic which people have a lot of doubts on, which is the work-life balance. So generally roles which are paying well, they generally, so nowadays even roles which are not paying that well, they don't have a good work-life balance. But like anything on that front?
Initially, when you might not be tagged to some project, or initially your work or your contribution is little like on the less side, so there the work is quite okay and you are able to balance all the things. But yeah, later on it becomes a little hectic, but I think you can manage that part. It's not like work-life balance is better than Big Four, I believe. That thing I would just say.
Kashish, from your side?
I would say it depends on your project, completely and entirely on the project you're working on. You might it depends on the phase in which the project is going on.
Yeah.
That is one of the major aspects, but otherwise this is not a myth. I would say if roles are paying you heftily, they are gonna take the most out of you. There will not be a work, like you cannot expect a 6-7 hour working hours. You might have to work a little longer. You might have to do give a lot of contributions in order to grow. It completely depends on the project and the person and the kind of person you are and how you take up roles and everything. It's again a very subjective thing. I cannot give a very objective answer to this.
And I generally right.
Yeah, I would like to little add here. So 6 to 7 working hours you will not get anywhere. I think it's not there. Mostly you have to work like 8 hours is the minimum, and sometimes 10 hours at normal. But yeah, sometimes if you are on the deliverable part of the project, or your I mean, where last stage of the project where you just go live, then at that point you might have to work like 10 to 12 hours. But the I've seen like past 7 months, it's been sometimes the graph of your balance comes very much down only for a week, but then it comes back to normal like that.
So in fact, you mentioned this 10 to 12. This is the minimum for many other roles, even at Big Four.
Yeah,
This ends up
6 to
being
7 is not there, guys.
there,
Please.
and 10 to 12 is in a lot of cases that ends up being the minimum. And if that is the usual thing here, or that is the that is the thing which is there here, it's actually a very good role. And this is the kind of questions which I generally get, that can you tell me a role where I'll be paid well also, and I'll have a decent work-life balance also. And these could be one of those very, very few roles. In fact, so I was also at ITC, but one part was covered, but the other part was not covered there. So this is a role where both of those are there, right? So, okay, this is a very, very administrative question. I received the mail. Should I get back to them? Okay. Okay. So now, from, anything you would like to advise, something from both of you on what they should do to, clear their interviews, whichever it is. So not just for Accenture, for any interview, anything you would like to share with them. Okay, Kashish, you can go first.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'll say the things I mentioned already in the beginning. So basically, one of those was in your resume building and being very, very particular about what you have to speak, the structure in which you're going to speak about these important questions, like tell me about yourself, what are your strengths and weaknesses, what you like other than working. You have to be really specific with that as well, because through that, the interviewer is trying to judge your personality, your leadership skills, and your team management skills. A lot of those things are judged by these generic questions. Do not forget to mention any kind of additional skills or certifications that you hold. Highlight them definitely. And when you're sitting for an interview, please make sure that you're sitting with a plain background behind you, not like me with the curtains and everything. Make sure you have a plain wall, or just put a filter, blur your screens, whatever it is. And do not just keep the laptop too close to yourself. You should have a minimum 1 arm distance from the screen and yourself, because it should not look like you are just too much on the screen. Just keep a minimal difference of 1 arm between the screen and yourself. And please dress formally, because that does create an impact. And yeah, pretty much just be confident. And if you do not know answer to a question, do not try messing up with the interviewer. Do not think that you're gonna find your way out by saying any nonsense you want to. If you don't know, it's better to come up with a I don't know an answer to this. It's okay, that would not create a negative impact. But if you give a very wrong answer blatantly on the interviewer's face, the person is going to take a note of that. And whatever you're speaking, just be very confident about what you're speaking. You do not have to communicate in English. That's not something that the language should not be a barrier. You can very well talk in a mix of Hindi and English. You can talk in Hindi as well. Be comfortable with whatever you say and however you present yourself. Just have that confidence before, when you're going for the interviews. Do not panic, and do not just try to open tabs while you're giving interviews on your laptop, because it's pretty much evident when you do that. It comes to the notice of the interviewer as well. So I would say these are the few basic tips which I followed when I was giving my interviews. And I would like to add on one thing. Somebody was asking about the FP&A role. Not that I'm working in the FP&A role, but I've given a lot of interviews for the FP&A role as well. So I would say the basic questions comes from the subject SFM. You need to be very well versed with the budgeting side of it. You need to have an idea about the valuation models for the companies. You need to know when can you accept a project, what is the difference between the financial ratios, the NPVs and IRRs, which ones are preferables. You just do not have to blatantly call out the formula of any kind of model, but then you should actually be able to make the person understand in a layman language that what does all of the inputs in that model used means actually. And mostly the FP&A role will concern your budgeting and actual analysis, the variance calculations, the significant delta testings in the organization, where they are lacking, where can they improve. It's a basic business analysis and financial planning role, I would say. So this session does not, go directly into FP&A. So if there are any other questions, please feel free to ask any of us. We'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, I think these are the generic points I would like to cover. You can keep it in mind before going for any interviews.
Priya, from your side, any final tips which you can give them for their interviews?
Kashish actually covered most of that. So just wanted to emphasize that you just need to be very confident, because if the company have shortlisted you, then you need to understand that they want to hire you. They don't want to reject you. So you have to be confident whatever you have done. So let's say in your resume you have done normal things on articleship, only tax audits, GST, but your company has shortlisted you. So they see a chance of selecting you because they want to hire you. So don't be just, because a lot of people do ask me this question that they are from small firms, how much chance is there to getting selected for that role. But the thing is, if you have been shortlisted, then definitely you stand a chance. So you have to be confident on whatever you have done. If you have done tax audits, then you have to know about that. That's it. They will not just comes to your practical knowledge on M&E or something, because you have not done it. So you can say that clearly, that I have the theoretical knowledge of that, because obviously we study, but I don't have a practical knowledge. So based on your understanding, you can give an answer. But just don't even if you had not done, you are, as Kashish said, don't say just wrong answer, don't give wrong answer. Just be like, I don't know, or from my understanding or from my theory understanding, it should be there this way. So like that, just be confident and have a believe in yourself that you will be able to clear that, sir. That's it.
One more thing I would also like to add is, do not blatantly lie on your resumes, because interviewers do pick you up and they do a background verification before they hire you. Even if you're selected and you lie about something on your resume, it might backfire you after you are selected in a particular organization during your background verification. So please refrain from lying on your resumes, because it might backfire you after you have been selected. And if that happens, you're going to be blacklisted from that company. So do not lie on your resumes. That's a big no.
Right. And in fact, and do not lie in your interview too, right? So
no, you can just twist the facts a little. You can tweak it a little, but then
there's no written record of that interview. So there's you have a little more flexibility there, maybe. Right. Thanks a lot, both of you, for these amazing insights. We don't have any more doubts. What is R2R role? So R2R role, would either of you like to explain it, or I can just cover it? What is R2R role?
That is not something I am aware of. Neither
I don't have much idea about
record to report. So
yeah, I know the full form only.
Right. So it's a kind of accounting, financial reporting, everything clubbed into one. And they could have called it an accounting role, but then you people, you like all these terms. You want to
apply designations.
If they call it accounting, you won't apply. If they call it CFO advisory, you'll certainly want to apply. And if they call it internal audit, you'll be like, oh, what is this? But suddenly if you call it risk advisory,
right.
So okay, so thank you, Priya. Thank you, Kashish, for spending so much time with us and explaining all of them, the entire structure and process for getting into management consulting or technology consulting, especially on a Saturday evening where you could have had other plans too, but you chose to do this. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you, Yugandhar, for hosting this session, because I think it's going to be really helpful for the people about how they want to proceed, in which domain they want to apply for, and figure out what exactly they want to do, because the Corporate Institute is also offering a lot of courses you might want to enroll for, get complete insights about how to crack interviews and how to sit for different companies. And this was a very short session about what you can do or what you cannot do. If you enroll for the sessions, you'll actually get a deep dive about how you should go about into it. So definitely you can check those out as well.
and I'll be sharing all those on your emails and WhatsApp. So thanks, Kashish, for that, that plugin, and definitely.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Yugantar. I mean, for organizing this, because I myself were in this phase of my life, and where a lot of doubts we do have. So asking the right people is actually very important. So I think we have, solved all the doubts of the people out there. But if you have any doubts, you can reach out to us, any of us on LinkedIn or from any other medium. But yeah, I'll be happy to help, and I hope that this session was helpful for all of you.
Definitely. So it was really useful, and all of you, so whoever found it useful, I sometimes do this just to check how many of them are still there. You can write a thank you, or good session,
Yeah.
something like that. You can write it in the chat. So we'll know. Okay, great, great. Okay, so okay, many of them are here, fortunately, right? Okay, okay. Thanks again. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Kashish, uh, and to all the candidates. All the best to all of you. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, and thank you for joining. All the
Thank
best for your
you. Bye.
interviews.
All the
Bye-bye.
best.
Good
Bye.
day.
Good day.